Hi everybody, it's Cash. Merry Christmas! You know in the movies when somebody makes a video will and goes, if you're watching this, I'm already dead. Well, this is the I'm not dead, but this is the same kind of thing. If you're watching this on Christmas Day, then I'm already somewhere else enjoying a vacation. But it's traditional on the channel for me to give you a Christmas present, and here it is. I'm going to show you how to make Double-Everything Brownies. And I'm told, I can't actually eat brownies myself, but I'm told by people who do that they're super delicious. And so we'll see. But what's interesting is that about a week ago, before I started making this video, I was adopted by a stray cat. It just wandered into the yard and has sat outside the back door ever since. It just will not go away. I have no idea where that came from. It just suddenly appeared at the door. The last time a cat appeared at the door, mysteriously, was a few years ago, and within 2 weeks I got my TV show. And then after my TV show finished, the cat went. It was really, really odd. So maybe this is some kind of profit thing, and it's forecasting great things for 2022. I don't know. The woman who originally taught me to bake gave me one major piece of advice that I've followed ever since. She said, never undervalue what you can do with paper plates in terms of your prep work. Now, I'm not a big prep guy, but actually she's right. What you do is you get your paper plates and you measure out your ingredients on the plates before you start making the brownies, or indeed anything else, because then you don't have to do any kind of last minute panicky, oh my god, where's the scoop or where's the spoon? You simply have your plate at hand and you tip the stuff into the pan, particularly with the brownies, which are a rapid fire thing. They're made very quickly, and so you need to have all your ingredients ready, and the way to do that is with paper plates. First of all, you set the oven to 350 degrees Celsius. Oh, hang on a minute, no you don't. That would actually be like nuclear fusion. 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And you also get your butter and start melting that. That takes a while to do because you're about to make basically ghee. So you put 10 ounces of butter in a saucepan, which is here, and you melt it at a medium heat. And now the butter's doing that, we can get to work on preparing the rest of the ingredients. So it's 1 1/4 cups of regular sugar, 1/3 of a cup and 2 tablespoons. So when you put it on the paper plate, it looks like a Mickey Mouse face. 1/3 of a cup and 2 tablespoons of plain flour. And then something weird with the chocolate. This is one of those nonsensical things that I do, I don't need to do, and I have no idea why I do it, but I do it. And what happens is I get 2 different kinds of unsweetened cocoa powder. I have no idea if having 2 different kinds of chocolate in the brownies makes a significant difference. But in my head, which is where it matters, my subjective reality, I am convinced that 2 different kinds of chocolate make these brownies extra special, which is why I do it. And because I believe that, I have to go through this tricky measuring system where you fill up a 1/4 cup measure with 1 chocolate. And then you fill up half the same 1/4 cup measure with the same chocolate, but top it up with the other chocolate. And then you put a 1/4 scoop of the other chocolate in with it. Right? So you got 3/4 of a cup of chocolate mixed evenly between the 2 different kinds of chocolate. Confusing? I don't think so. Now the butter is sizzling away. And it sounds dangerous, like you should switch it off, but don't, because this is what's supposed to happen. The fats in the butter will start sinking to the bottom of the pan, and then they'll start burning. Still don't panic, but just keep on stirring and make sure the whole thing doesn't go up in flames. That's really all you got to do. Now the recipe calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. That's ridiculous. So I simply double that. and you put 1/4 teaspoon in, and I put it on the sugar like that to remind myself that I've actually done it. Next you need 1/8 teaspoon of baking powder, and this you dump on the flour plate. And finally you want a teaspoon, just over a teaspoon, I usually use like 1 1/4 teaspoons of dark roast coffee, and that goes on the chocolate plate. See now how the solids have started separating from the oil? Those are going to sink to the bottom and burn. Nothing about that sounds good, but actually it really makes a difference to the recipe, I swear. Now you'll know when the butter is getting to the point of being ready when it starts to smell like toffee a little, and the edges of the pan are speckled with burnt fats. You stir those in as much as possible and just keep on stirring until the bottom of the pan is also black, without necessarily burning the house down, alright? Darker, darker, and around about now, where it's starting to get a little black on the bottom, you turn off the light and remove the pan. Now you may have thought putting ingredients on paper plates was ridiculous, but this is where it comes in really handy, because now you have to put the sugar with the salt and the cocoa powder with the coffee in the pan, sugar first. It's almost like a paste. The first time I made these and they went like a paste, I thought I'd screwed it up, and I just threw the whole thing away and started again. And the second time it made the same paste. So that's what it does. It goes into a paste, and as soon as all the sugar is absorbed by the butter, you put in the cocoa powder and the coffee. At this point the cocoa powder melts, and it goes from being a white sticky sludge to being a brown sticky sludge. Once you've got your brown sticky sludge, you stick in 2 tablespoons of water and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. It's supposed to be 1 of each, but I just doubled it. I doubled everything for this. At this point it's got to be a silky smooth consistency, and so you put a cover on it and you leave it to one side for 10 minutes to cool. While the batter, the mixture, is cooling, you do 2 things. The first one is you get your pan ready, and you wouldn't think that a recipe for brownies would be controversial, would you? But it is, simply because you line the pan, this thing, with, I don't know what size it is, just guess. There's my head, there's the pan. But you have to line it with aluminium foil, or aluminum foil as Americans say. Now I'm guessing that if you're used to baking, you probably can use parchment paper. And the reason people don't like the foil here is because there have been studies that show that aluminium causes Alzheimer's. I forget where I read that actually. But I think that's in deodorants. I don't know if it's actually in this. I generally don't use foil for anything except for these brownies. So if you want to go and look for an alternative, fantastic. It may be parchment paper that works, or it could just be that you decide to risk Alzheimer's just this once to make fabulous brownies. But you certainly have to pour the batter, which is going to be runny, into something that won't leak. And foil works for me. Then once you've done that, you roll up these edges. There is a reason for this. It's not just because you can't be bothered to cut them. Roll them up like that. Then you spray it with oil. Second thing you do while the batter is cooling, you chop up a cup of walnuts and just under 1/2 cup of pecans. Don't chop them too fine, by the way. Although, oh God, this is sending the blood to my head. Don't chop them too fine, otherwise people will find the brownies a little gritty. And nobody likes gritty brownies. By the time you've lined the pan and sprayed it with oil and worried about the dangers of Alzheimer's, and you've also chopped up the nuts, the mixture, the batter, should be ready for the next stage. And that's where you add 2 large eggs. You add them one at a time and stir vigorously, each one. Keep stirring until it gets this really rather lovely gloss, this sheen on the surface, and that tells you it's ready for the next stage, at which point you'll be really glad that you measured out your flour and your baking powder beforehand, because all you do is just tip it right in and you stir until the flour is combined with the chocolate and you can't see any white flecks in it anymore. Once the flour is combined with the chocolate, you stir it 25 times clockwise and then 25 times counterclockwise with vigor. Don't ask why, just do it, it works. They should put that in workout videos actually. But you've reached the stage now where the batter is just about right to be made into brownies. If you are allergic to nuts, I guess you just put the batter straight into the pan. But if you're not and you're going to put nuts in, this is where you do it at the very end. You just tip the nuts in and stir until all the nuts are covered in chocolate. And then you take the batter over to the pan and pour it in. And the last thing you do, if you're not too tired, this is feeling like an Olympic sport at this point, but the last thing you do is you sprinkle a little bit of kosher salt on the top. Not too much, otherwise it'll taste like nothing but salt the whole time. And there you go, once the salt is on, you're ready to bake. For about 22 minutes probably, but start checking it after around 19. Hey Siri, set timer for 19 minutes.
Okay, 19 minutes and counting.
That's the pressure off. And now you have 19 minutes to play with the cat. After about 19, 20 minutes, something like that, you get a cocktail stick and you stick it in the brownie mixture to see if it's set. If it comes out clean, you're done. You take the pan out, you put it on a wire rack for about 10-15 minutes. Using the scrunched up sides of the foil, you lift the brownie slab out of the pan and stick it on the wire rack to cool properly. I think if you leave it in the pan too long, it starts going too dry. But if you take it out and let it cool on the wire rack, it remains moist all the way through. That's just a theory I made up, but I think it may be true. Ta-da! So there is the finished item in all its glory. The next to last thing I do is I muscle test it to see if I can actually eat the thing. Answer no. But the final thing I do is eat it anyway, because it's Christmas, for goodness sake. Oh, oh my God. Wow, I don't eat brownies, but that was super delicious. I'd love to hear what happens when you make them. So please leave a comment below when you try them, see how they come out for you. Maybe you'll vary what's in the recipe, but I do recommend it as it stands right now because quite honestly, it is just perfecto, I think. All right, so let me know. Have a wonderful holiday season and a terrific 2022, and I'll see you in January. Bye.